This is a snapshot, a moment, a sneak inside the minds of our graduates. This is Season 1, Class of 2020.
My name is Lucja, and I have fairly recently graduated from the neuroscience course, and I am now doing a neuroscience PhD, actually in the same lab that I was in for my undergrad dissertation. There was that one time, I think at the beginning of third year, when I went to speak to my personal teacher to ask him about what he thinks about different types of masters, or like what could I do afterwards. And he said that he can't really help me too much because he never did a master's. And I was like, what do you mean you never did a master's? You're a lecturer in physiology. What do you mean? And he's like, oh yeah, I just got experience beforehand, and I did a PhD straight away. I was like, oh, I could do a PhD straight away. And given that I did have laboratory experience, I kind of started applying for everything. It was quite a long process when I was applying for different programs and also for jobs. It was probably between like October in third year and then all up until end of January the next year. And then before all the responses came back, that was probably March or April. I was also trying to maybe as a security thing get a job in the industry, so in maybe a pharma company. So I went through recruitment processes for those. I think when I knew I'm actually doing a PhD was around March, where the pandemic started. So having that sense of purpose that even after this weird summer, that I have something to look forward to, that was quite a relief, really. It came in sort of phases. So at first I was finishing my dissertation writing, I was doing all the data analysis and, drafts, and that was really, really stressful. So as soon as I stopped that, I kind of went into a what do I do with myself phase. Just kind of, I can do whatever, I could just lie in bed all day. At first, it was maybe a week when I was just not doing anything at all, not cooking, not doing any house chores. And I was like, well, I can't live like this. So then the exercise phase started when I was like, okay, I have time now. I do pole dancing. So I set up my pole, I signed up to some online classes. I did some, lots of flexibility work, all that, and then I managed to injure myself. After that, there came the kind of crafty phase. So I got my partner into brewing. So together we made wine, we made different types of beer, we made mead as well. As a celebration of my results coming out, I went and gathered elderflowers and made elderflower syrup from them. I got into macrame. So I started making plant hangers and I sold a couple. And as much as lockdown was a fairly sad experience for multiple people, I think the appreciation for like very calm, crafty activities has risen, and I'm really happy about that. Because I think that's something that has been a part of my life for a long time and hasn't been appreciated that much. As much as everyone has been talking about, mindfulness or meditation, or similar things, I feel like those slow activities are really good for everyone and should stay a part of our lives. I am not sure where exactly I encountered pole dancing first. It might have been like freshest fair in first year, maybe. But then for the first year and second year, I was kind of like, oh, I want to join, but I never did. I wasn't very organized back then. And then in third year, I was like, okay, I'm going. This looks so cool. I went to my first class. I remember it was like really cold, dark evening. And I came back with a massive grin on my face. And I said to my flatmates, so I really, really love doing this, but I suck. I am absolutely awful. I can't tell my limbs from each other. I can't do left, right, front, back. I can't spin around the pole. But I really like it. And then I just kind of kept going, at first once a week, then twice a week. Then I got onto the competition team last year. At some point I was joking that I signed up for a PhD so I can pole dance for 4 years more. seeing how limited my resources and my communities would be if I left university and got into a job and just worked from home from now on. I think the contrast is massive, especially with all my societies and my PhD cohort. We're encouraged to socialize together. Obviously, it's not very easy right now. And all of these opportunities to attend seminars and to attend events, even though they're online, there is such a big resource compared to what it would look like if I just got a job now. I think it's way harder to get into a community at the moment in general. And the ones that I have are mostly the pre-existing ones. Since even the lab that I'm in, I've been in before, and I know the people, I can chat to them. And I think being actively encouraged to socialize, even if it's awkward, even if it's, a little bit weird and Zoom, helps with the fact that we're all still sort of stuck at home.
We also ask our graduates to share a place, somewhere special, somewhere we can get together when all this is finished.
During the whole lockdown, I've been going on walks because, there wasn't much else to do outside of your house. And the closest nature place apart from the Hollywood Park, which gets boring after a bit if you go there, every couple of days, was Blackford Hill and Hermitage of Braid. And there's just a beautiful wooded area there, and there are some funky shaped trees. I've been, trying to hang off the trees a little bit, take photos, play with shapes that I would usually do on the pole as well. It's a great place. And it's also the place where I did most of my foraging. So at the beginning it was the elderflowers, then there were raspberries, so I made raspberry wine out of that. And then it was blackberries, some sloes as well. I haven't really found a purpose for the sloes yet, but I will. And probably sloe gin, isn't it? Then, blackberries for blackberry wine, then elderberries for elderberry wine. So, there were plenty of things. Oh, also apples for crumble. I think that's something that I brought out of my childhood. With my mom and like my family in general. So I would go look for all the, weird berries I could make, maybe tinctures out of, or jams. We had lots of fruit in our garden as well, so we grew a lot of it, even if the garden was fairly small. We would go mushroom foraging every year. And that's I think that's a very Polish thing to do, because the mushrooms that we use for our traditional dishes on Christmas Eve are wild mushrooms. They're not farmed mushrooms, so you have to either go and find them for yourself, or you have a really nice neighbour that gives them to you. Obviously, there are a lot of rules around it as well, so there's always the rule, if you find two mushrooms together, leave one, or you always leave some berries for the birds. But I think this is still a really, really good pastime, and something that you can do to appreciate nature more, because you have to identify all the plants, identify the environment they're in. For the mushrooms, you also look at which trees they form symbiosis with, and it's a good biology lesson as well.
Thank you for listening. Join us next time for another graduate and another story.
Feeling inspired by what you've just heard? Take the first step to getting the career you want by contacting the Careers Service. As a recent graduate, you can continue to access all of our services, including access to vacancies on My Career Hub, practice interviews, our full calendar of online employer events, and online appointments with one of our career consultants. Find out more at ed.ac.uk/careers.